So, which Naruto game series is better? Clash of Ninja on the GameCube or Ultimate Ninja on the PS2? Let's take a look at each individual series and compare them. Before I start this video, I want to say that I did not play every game in the series. I played the first and the last one of each. Why did I do it that way? Well, there's a couple of reasons. First, if I were to play all the games, I'll be playing 9 different games. And who knows when this video will come out. I am sadly an adult with responsibilities. Second, there are usually not many differences between games and they usually compound onto each other. So all the mechanics in the previous games are usually in the last game. But I did want to show you the evolution of the series in some way. Last is, who cares about the middle child? Charmeleon? Who's that? Now, let's start with the Clash of Ninja series. This one came out on the GameCube and it's a basic retelling of the show. It starts with our 12-year-old orphan boy, Naruto, graduating from ninja military school. You follow him from the beginning of the story until the start of the Chunin exam, and you play as Naruto, and only Naruto. Believe it. Some character variety would have been nice, but the story is very short. You'll be doing 7 fights, which took me around 30 minutes to complete. It only took me that long to complete because there were dialogue scenes with cutouts of the characters in between fights. It's not the most amazing thing in the world, but at least there is voice acting for these scenes so you don't have to read. This is a fighting game, so I don't expect much of a story. So let's talk about the gameplay. How does it play? The character has 2 attack buttons. One is for melee, which is the B button, and the other is for weapon attack, which is the A button. You can do the whole combo by pressing the B button the whole time, but you can switch it up by pressing the A button somewhere in between the strings of attacks, depending on which character you're using to change up the combo line. The buttons also have different utility if you press the attack button with a certain direction. Up B is an attack that will launch the enemy up. Back B is a guard attack that is slow, but will block certain attacks if they hit within a specific frame or animation of the attack, like a counter. The A button also has different techniques depending on the direction, but usually with their character's weapon of choice. Up A throws weapons in the air as an anti-air attack. Down A is a low sweep with the weapon. Forward A is an attack with the weapon, and back A is usually a counter special that will do a special attack. This is usually what a character is expected to do with these combinations, but some of them are changed to do a specific jutsu or technique. The Y button is to grab your opponent, which can be used against guarding. You block attacks in this game by either moving back or standing still. The X button is used for special attacks. If you have a full gauge of the meter on the bottom, which is the character's chakra, you can perform a special if it connects. You can also use up 2/3 of the meter for a substitution jutsu by pressing the R or L button. If you're hit, you can substitute behind the enemy and hit them with a counter. You can also use these buttons to go in and out of the stage, which can be used to dodge or orientate yourself better. This was an issue sometimes when I was trying to sidestep and then I substituted, wasting my chakra. The combat feels very similar to Tekken but simpler. I do like this combat system since it's possible to play the game and do combos without having to stop the game to look up a sheet on how to do them, but if you want to see what a character is capable of doing, they do provide you a combo sheet. Even with its simplicity, there is depth to the gameplay with the different types of characters and the way the chakra is used. There is even the thought of the chakra between rounds. You keep the same amount of chakra you had in the last round in the new round. Should you use a substitution when low on health to try and make a comeback, but start a new round with less chakra, or if you have a lot of health, should you allow them to do a whole combo so you can start the next round with more chakra but lose to a comeback. You can also be a bit of an ass and do your special on a defeated opponent and they will be forced to watch it until it ends. But it is a bit disappointing that there are only 2 ways to use chakra for most characters. Besides the story, there are a couple of other modes that are all laid onto the main menu. We have 1 player, which is arcade mode, 2 player battle is against another person, training, which is self-explanatory, a versus computer is just a match against a CPU, time attack is beating arcade mode as fast as possible, and survival is continuous fighting with a bit of health recovery between rounds as the CPUs get more difficult. There's not much to do in this game and it kind of shows based on how you unlock characters. Lee is unlocked by beating the story mode, which is easy enough, but to unlock the last 2 characters is a bit annoying. You have to beat arcade mode with every character twice, since doing it once isn't good enough for some reason. This will unlock Nine-Tails Naruto, After that, you have to beat it a third time with Kakashi to get Sharingan Kakashi, who has a neat gimmick of being able to do the opponent's special when he counters it. Except for Haku, whose ability is based on their bloodline, which he can't copy. That is some cool attention to the source material. After unlocking all the characters, we're left with 10 characters including the Foxtail Naruto and Sharingan Kakashi. That is all there is to this game. And I have to say, after playing it, this game feels like a tech demo, or more precisely, an incomplete game. There are a couple of reasons for this. One, in the story mode, you only play as Naruto. I know he's the main character, but there are other characters here, like his 2 teammates and his teacher who had fights in the show. Second, the main menu is a bit sloppy. You could have made a couple of sub-menus for all these modes under single player and versus mode or something. Third, Naruto and Sasuke's special is a bit odd. Both of the moves are part of the show, but they showed these moves in the middle of the tuning arc, while the game ends right at the beginning of the arc. Story-wise, they shouldn't have these moves. And not to make it even weirder, one of the stages is based on the tuning exams which happen after this game's story ends. I can only assume the game was going to go further into the story, but they had to cut it short for some reason or another. When the game was released in America, they announced this game at the same time as the sequel, which is weird. The European release of this game never even came out. They took the sequel and just made it the first game. I recommend doing the same as them and just skipping over the first release on the GameCube and going straight to Clash of Ninja 2, or how we're going to the last game released on the GameCube called Naruto Clash of Ninja 4, I think. Sadly, I can't read Japanese. That is kind of a problem since this whole game is in Japanese. I was able to get through the menu and find the story mode, which is these art prints with voiceover and Japanese subtitles. While I couldn't understand a thing, I was entertained with the pretty pictures, like a child. Based on what I know of the show, the story begins towards the end of the tuning exams and ends at the Sasuke retrieval mission. Wow, we skipped 2 whole games and this game starts a bit further in the same season of where the first game ended? While I do say the game follows those arcs, they kind of fudged the story a bit to introduce a new mechanic into this game, which is a 3-on-3 team battle. It's a one-on-one fight, but you can swap out characters in the middle of the fight. If a character is not in the fight, they will regain chakra and any health they had in red, like most fighting games that use this mechanic. You can use the Z button to swap with the next character in the line, and depending on which direction you hold, when called in, they do something different. Holding back has them swapping defensively, so that you can be ready to block. Holding forward will allow them to come in offensively attacking. It could also be used to combo, but it's kinda difficult to time it right. The swapping will take away a fourth of your chakra, and you can also substitute when being hit by pressing Z, but that will take the same amount as a regular substitution. You can also do a team special move by pressing forward and X. That will need everyone on your team to have full chakra to do, and if you have a specific team, it will have a unique special attack for them. The story mode, while longer the original, it's also short. I know I said that I got through it by looking at the pretty pictures, but I might have to retract that statement. It's like they called their D-team artist. In the end, it feels like they made this mode specifically to introduce the 3-on-3 battles. Now that we're done with the story mode, how is the game different gameplay wise? Well, they revamped some of the characters' moves to make them more interesting. On top of that, they added a guard gauge, which means you can break an opponent's guard. Also, some characters now have in-game transformations. So instead of having a separate character like Sharingan Kakashi, it's a transformation you turn on. Although some of the transformations have downsides like losing health, probably to offset the power you get from them, and you need to use some of your chakra to transform. The substitution has an interesting change as well. Depending on whether you press L or R, the substitution is different. If you press R, it will be the same as before, but if you press L, you appear behind them without attacking. So you can just appear behind them and start your combo instead of one hit. But it's slower, so your opponent might have a chance to guard or even hit you before you can attack them. Characters now have 2 specials, with some of them having moves that are not cutscenes and can cover an area. This is interesting because they added more modes like being able to do 4 players, free-for-all, or a 2 versus 2. A special move that hits a wide area seems like a fun time in this chaotic mode. They did bring back old modes like Time, Arcade, and Survival mode, which all have a 3-on-3 version as well. The other new mode in this game is Kumite, which is like a survival wave mode with one guy clone popping out of the ground, which gets more aggressive as you play. Defeating them sometimes drop items like health recovery or attack boost. The goal is to last as long as you can and defeat as many enemies as you can. And watch mode, where you can watch the computers fight. I guess if you can't decide between Chinese or pizza, this is one way to go about it. There is another mode called missions where you're supposed to do something to complete them. Since I was getting tired of not being able to understand anything, I downloaded an English patch for this game which translates it to English. This is great to be able to navigate the game, but sadly, since recording this, they have not translated the story mode. Can't say that I'm that devastated by it, the menus are the important things here. Now that I can understand it, I can now do these missions, which kind of suck. They require you to be arcade mode with a random character with conditions like not being able to do your special move, finishing 5 enemies with your special move, and not losing a match. It doesn't help that the game does not stop if you pass or fail the criteria. So if you finish 5 enemies with a special move, the game just keeps playing until you beat the mode. Or if you do a special move when you're not supposed to, the game just continues like a regular arcade mode. What's even weirder is how you get these missions. You don't progressively unlock missions as you do more. No. You unlock missions randomly, and it can be from any difficulty. Every time you go to the main menu, you might get a mission, or you might not. I was going in and out of the title screen back to the menu until a mission appeared. Most people will see this as they're playing with friends and imagine telling your buddies to wait until you play through this arcade mode so you could complete the mission. Luckily, you can retry them whenever you want after unlocking them, and you will want to do them because this is how you unlock characters. To unlock every character, you will need to do 120 missions. This will take you a very long time and it will get monotonous. If you want to skip the grind, you can get Super Naruto Clash of Ninja 4, which is a competitive patch for this game. It has a few changes to the character's moves and techniques that makes the game more balanced in a competitive scene. More importantly, it unlocks all the characters in the game from the very beginning, and it even has some cool character skins. I would say this is a definitive way to play the game, but it does have 2 hiccups. In the 3-on-3 fight, the Z button does not work, so you can't change the characters in the fight, and the pause button doesn't work. There is still an active community for this competitive scene, and if you're curious, I recommend you check out their Discord. That is where I got the English patch and the competitive patch for this game. So, let's jump consoles onto the PS2 and take a look at the Ultimate Ninja series. The first game is Naruto Ultimate Ninja. The game story takes place between the beginning of the show and the end of the Chunin exams. There is not a singular story, but these things called scenarios, which are just arcade mode for most of the characters. You can play through the story mode, which somewhat follows the plot of the anime, but shows the character's ideal outcome. It has some good presentation, giving it a manga feel with the background, and is fully voice acted. So let's go on to the gameplay. This one's a one-on-one platform fighter. It looked like Super Smash Bros, but plays very differently. For one, there's only one attack button. You can end combos by pressing up O to send the enemies up, and even start with up O to send them up right away. And the same could be said for down and forward. Usually when you launch your enemies, you get a chance to hit your enemies again, which this game calls an additional hit. Very creative. However, if your opponent presses O at the right time, they can reverse this hit, and now you have to time it as it gets faster and faster until one person gets hit. Pressing back O is a grab that allows you to go through the enemy's guard. Down O also allows you to break their guard, but it is a slower move, allowing the enemy to attack you if they notice fast enough. All the characters follow these combo lines. What makes characters unique in this game is that they each have 3 jutsus. Depending on the character, pressing a specific direction and the O button at the end of the combo does a jutsu on the enemy. You can also do a freestyle jutsu not tied to a combo by pressing down twice and O. The last one is the ultimate jutsu. To use this one, you have to press the triangle and you will glow a different color depending on how many times you press triangle. You will glow a different color, which dictates the level of the ultimate of 1, 2, or 3. Once you hit them, you play this mini game of pressing the buttons in a certain order. If you're the one who initiated it, it dictates if you go to the next part of the attack, with the last one being a boost of damage. For the defender, this will reduce the amount of damage it does to you. I did notice that if I had more health, my timer to input the buttons was way faster than my opponent. If you want to use any jutsu, you have to use some of your chakra that is under your health bar. The notches on the bar show how much you need for each level of the ultimate jutsu. I do like that the chakra is used for more than just the ultimate moves and can be used to enhance a combo or a sudden jutsu. Some characters have a transformation that activates if you do a specific ultimate jutsu. If you do Rock Lee's level 3, you go into the gates. That gives him a power boost for a short time. Neji's and Hinata's level 2 have Byakugan, which drains your enemy's chakra for each hit, even if they block. Sasuke and Kakashi have the Sharingan, which copies all the moves your opponent has for a while, which has no advantages, although it is funny sometimes. Now, for the rest of the buttons, the X button is used to jump with a double jump, and you can double tap it to dash towards your opponent, which can start an air combo if it connects. You can also press up X to go to the background stage and down X to go to the foreground. It feels like an odd addition since it encouraged someone to run away, or maybe was to have them go look around for items. As you play, you can get items from either breaking the background objects or having a character assist stop by and drop an item for you. There are two types of items. One that you can throw that you can cycle through with the R1 and L1 button. The other is a status affecting one, for example, more attack power, health pack, and even unlimited substitution for a while. So no matter the attack, besides an item, you automatically appear behind the enemy. This is a little too good that even the computer just freezes there. You can also substitute by yourself by pressing the block buttons R2 or L2 just before they attack you. The timing is different against every character since the attack rate and the number of attacks they do per combo are different. This substitution method takes up a little bit of chakra, so if you have very good timing, you could escape any combo relatively unscathed, and if anything, you can try spamming the block button, but that does not work as well as finding the timing. After you beat all the scenarios, you're still missing two characters, and the way to unlock them is by doing missions. Missions. Let's see how they do it here. You start as an academy student, and as you do missions, you level up your rank. The missions are a one-off battle with different conditions like winning within a certain time, not doing certain moves, or not getting hit once. The higher the rank, the more difficult the missions. I like the setup, but some of these missions are a bit unreasonable, like never missing a punch, or winning by never throwing a punch. At least if you mess up, the mission stops, but you do need to select the mission again each time. After you do a majority of the missions, you unlock Curse Mark Sasuke and Nine Tails Naruto with a total of 14 characters to play with. The other modes you can use them in are training and free battle, which are self-explanatory. You can also buy collectibles, but you have to input more money for a chance to not get a dud in these children gambling machines. Naruto's house is where you go to view all the collectibles. Make me feel old when the movies in this game are represented by VHS tapes. So let's fast forward in time to 2009 and talk about Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja 5. The game's story starts at the beginning of the Shippuden arc, where Naruto comes back to the village after 3 years. Now, this game has a more robust story mode with in-game models talking and a few cutscenes. It's a level up, but this game was released only in Europe outside of Japan. And I guess they don't care too much about them since the game is in Japanese with English subtitles. As a man who watches anime, this is not that big of a deal for me. The story starts with the Gaara rescue mission and ends with another Sasuke retrieval mission. My man is a badass Princess Peach. Unlike the first game, you play in an open world traveling the land. Pretty cool being able to traverse the hidden village even if it's not that big. You walk around and you can do side missions on top of the game's main objectives. Sadly, it feels like padding with how much empty space you walk through with literal wastelands. The things you're able to do are talk to people, break boxes for money, and start street fights. There are bandits in this game that you fight and take you to the secondary mode, which the game calls Master Battles. These are small beat 'em up sections where you do basic combos and jutsu to defeat enemies. The enemies are usually just generic evil bandits, while some of them are just adorable. Who's the evil puppy with a knife? Who's the baddest boy? Who's the baddest boy? As you defeat enemies, you can increase your level and increase your skills to unlock more techniques in this mode. I was not a big fan of them and spent most of my time trying to dodge them rather than fight them. You will start to get annoyed with these guys since you will be traveling long distances without any fast travel. With the way the bandits were placed, I feel like they were trying to pad out the game with them, especially with how they chase you. You could go around and explore the level to find items, but it was never necessary. The cutscenes in the game were okay, and my only issue was that I could read a lot faster than the characters could speak. So a lot of the time I would finish reading and the character just started speaking. Most of the times I skipped them talking and just read it, but it was fun to see some face animations. So how is the main gameplay? Well, it's relatively the same as before. One of the bigger changes, as you can see, is how big the characters look. They take a bigger portion of the screen so you can see the action better, and the game feels less snappy. Characters don't move as rigid as they did before, and they also have this weird huge bounce when you smash them to the ground. Regular hits and combos are still the same, and you can now grab opponents while in the air, giving you a way to attack a blocking enemy while in the air. The jutsus on the other hand have been changed. They detached one from the combo and is now another standalone jutsu that has its own little cutscene. You can change the jutsus as well to a select few they have, so you can make Sasuke do a Rasengan. The only jutsu you can change is the ultimate jutsu, which they have reworked. The levels are gone and everyone has a different amount of ultimate jutsus. One character might have only one, while another might have 3. The jutsu is now dependent on how much health they have. You can tell which ultimate jutsu you're doing and how much chakra it takes by which chakra notch is the biggest. The input during the ultimate attack was changed, and you input as many buttons as you can, and depending on how much more you input compared to your enemy dictates how much damage it does. Another input based mechanic they added was clashes. If you clash with the enemy, you get this rock paper scissors game where the winner gets a hit. Items are here, and the game feels like they made them more prevalent. You're only allowed to carry 2 types of throwables now, so you're encouraged to use them more and not let your opponents get them. You can cycle through them with the L button, but not the R one, because that button is now dedicated to your Link character. The Link character is an assist you can call in to help you by hitting your opponent in some way. They have a bar at the bottom of the screen to show their meter. If you have them as manual, you can call them into the field and they can perform the move by pressing R1 again before the meter is depleted, compared to automatic where they do the move as soon as they are called. Depending on the character you pick as an assist could change your regular jutsu or even your ultimate jutsu to do a combined attack. There is a good selection of Link characters to pick from because there are 62 characters in this game, with a couple of them being pre-time skip characters. You can even play as the Hokage, such as the 4th Hokage. One interesting thing you can see is these words next to the character as you're selecting them. This is tied to the character's awakened mode. These are transformations from the first game, but every character has them now, and they dictate how to activate the transformation. If it says ultimate jutsu, you have to perform a specific ultimate jutsu to activate it. Adversity activates it when you are low in health, and taunt is activated when your character does a full taunt by leaving up press. The awakened mode can boost your character and even change a character's moveset. The last few modes are training and free battle, which are always self-explanatory, and the shop. You go here to buy collectibles. You can purchase them directly compared to the first game's gamble system. There's even a store credit for every purchase to play a small minigame to earn a free collectible if you win it. Finally, we have collection, which is where you view all the collectibles. It's pretty cool with figurines, move showcase, and a music player. Now that we've looked at both series, which one's better? I will say that depending on what type of game you're looking for will decide which one you want. The Ultimate Ninja series has a lot of fan service with its story mode, voice acting, and presentation. This game would probably be preferred by Naruto fans who are trying to play a game by themselves. The Clash of Ninja series does not have a lot of content and the story mode is not much compared to the Ultimate Ninja series. But as a fighting game, it is so much better. The fighting is much more expressive and balanced with more unique attacks, modes, and even the amount of people who can play together. You can tell the difference in the game design by the way they both treat the substitution. In one game, it's attached to a resource that you can keep in mind and you use methodically compared to the other one where it can happen at any time and there is no consequence to it. There is a reason why one game has a competitive scene while the other does not. I prefer the Clash of Ninja series since it has fan service and it has more depth to it. But if you're not able to play with other people or care about the competitive scene, the Ultimate Ninja series has a much better single player experience. Which game do you prefer? Also, what do you think are better? Ninja or pirates? If you're curious about anime pirates, I made a video on all the One Piece PS2 games. But as always, my lovely patients, I thank you so much for watching and tune in next time. Bye.